Hi, I'm Michael Allison. I'm the Commercial Director for Roma Finance. Thanks for watching another episode of Roma Talks. And joining me this week, again, is a member of our senior leadership team, is our Finance Director, Matt Severs. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I think I'm meant to ask you the questions,
Am I?
by the way. That's the way it goes.
Okay. I'll let you carry on then.
So, for those of you who don't know what a Finance Director is, just tell us a bit about your role at Roma.
Yeah, so my role at Roma, so I've got responsibility for the finance team itself. So that's the responsibility for sending money out, coming back in, keeping an eye on making sure that we've got enough funding in place from all our funding partners that we have. But also this role is more than that. So I've got responsibility for the collections and the customer services teams within the business. So the back end of our lending process, making sure that we've got enough cash coming in to be able to keep the business going day to day.
So it's the receivables.
Exactly, yeah.
And you mentioned there about our funding partners.
Yes.
We have multiple funding lines.
We do. We collect them. We collect them regularly, should we say? So we've got a number of them at the moment, which are made up of institutional banks and building societies, as well as a family office as well.
And what's the reason we have such a spread?
It's more around diversification, making sure that we've got a nice spread across a number of different parties, and that gives borrowers certainty as well about where we're getting our money from. I know there's other lenders that just tend to have maybe one, two people that fund them. So I think it gives us more credibility as well in terms of the marketplace.
I suppose what it means is we're not over-reliant on one.
Exactly.
So if something happens with that institution, we're still able just to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
So have you always been in property finance?
Not in property finance itself. So going back, I've been an accountant for 25 years nearly now.
Wow.
I know. And I started off in the traditional place where a lot of accountants start doing it in practice. So training to be an accountant for 3 years. And that's mainly doing auditing, working in various industries and different sizes of business. And I think that's a good grounding for somebody in finance because it gives you an understanding about how business works, also the personalities within those businesses as well, how the typical entrepreneur thinks. It's a great experience.
So obviously, that's 3 years worth of training. How long was you at university as well?
So yeah, I was at university before that, and within that, I did a 1-year placement at Royal London as well, which was a good grounding.
So it was a long period of time, 6
A very long period of time, yes.
Relief when you've got it?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes when you do qualify, there's a bit of an anticlimax to it as well. So you build yourself up to that point, and then you think, well, where do I go next? And then that's the point where you start to think about where does your career need to develop? What areas do I want to go into? And the path I followed, I wasn't really, I'd done enough time in practice, and I think what I wanted to do, I wanted to get into a business itself and be involved in the success stories of a business and understand how those bits work, rather than providing an advisory role for many different types of businesses.
I think what's interesting when you talk about your experience, and I do say this, I've said it to your face as well.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, you don't know what I'm going to say yet. No, I think from a finance director, certainly someone who's so operationally minded as well, both external to the business and internal to the business, a real asset to us at Roma. And I guess what you're saying is you've got that from your experiences of being in all these multiple...
Yeah, I think there's a fine balance in terms of people's careers, because you see, particularly when you're recruiting for people, you see some people's CVs and there's lots and lots of companies on there. You think, well, what's going on there? But I think to have worked in 4 or 5 businesses that I have worked in over a long period of time, you do and in different industries as well, you pick up different experiences along the way, and the types of people I've worked with as well. I've worked with some great people over the years. I mean, there's people who have gone on to be FDs and CEOs of some quite big companies as well, and group treasurers of some quite big companies, and picking up little snippets along the way. You can then apply that in the way you're finance director of a company as well. So.
But I think it just has that real strength, doesn't it? It has that real strength that people like myself traditionally thought that the finance are only interested in the balance sheet, and that's it. But getting the right finance team and treasury team around you who are actually interested in the business growth, how the business is growing. You know, we go to meetings about customer feedback sessions and things like that. So finance is the fabric. We're a finance business, aren't we?
Yeah, I think with finance as well, you've got to be an enabler for the business to be able to grow. but also you've got to be that sort of moderator as well, I think, sometimes, because when you work for an entrepreneurial business, the entrepreneur is always trying to push the envelope with stuff, and sometimes you have to sort of say, should we really be doing that? But in other cases, you should just allow them to go with what they want to do in terms of that enablement that I just talked about.
That must be the two hardest hats I've ever heard: an enabler and a moderator.
Yeah, and finding that balance can be challenging at times. But that's what I think the finance director's role within a business is.
So before you landed at Roma, were you working in any other property fields? Or
yeah, so when I chose to take the path of not continuing on with practice, I moved to a company that did what was an old government scheme, PFI, NHS schemes, where basically the public sector would borrow money from the private sector, would build healthcare centres and then lease them back to the NHS over a 25-year period. So I did that for quite a period of time. That was during the last Labour government, I think. And then when that ran its course, I then moved to a company that did property development management, where they were the private sector partner again with the public sector. So it's a bit of a theme, really, those first two roles out of practice: private-public partnerships, so working with councils, combined authorities, those kind of organisations.
And then you'll end up in the world of specialist lending.
And then fell into specialist lending. In the previous role before I was at Roma, we did do a bit of lending. So we had a fund with the Liverpool Combined Authority where that was lending to property developers. So there was a bit of synergy between the last role and this one.
And how have you found the world of specialist lending since you?
It's very different. It's very fast paced.
You love a month end, don't you?
Oh, I love a month end. Yeah, most of it all in the last couple of days. It can be quite stressful and challenging at times, but I think once you've done it a few times, you start to understand about the intricacies about how it all works, etc.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a team around me that understands all how that works as well. So they help me out. It's not just me. It's having a great team around you as well to be able to deal with the challenges of month end.
Yeah. As much as we try, and if we ever find the
well,
formula,
we have a regular debates on that as a business.
I think it's I've been in specialist lending 20 years, and month end has always been I think even month ending when I ran collections departments was a piece. Yeah. So if we find the magic formula to fund the same amount every day of the month,
yeah, exactly,
we'll bottle that one up and sell it. I think it'd be more valuable than the lending we do. To everyone in the industry. So you've been at Roma for coming up to 4 years.
It'll be 4 years in January. Yeah.
So what are you most proud of in your time at Roma?
I think because I joined as financial controller, I think being promoted to finance director. So I must have been doing something right, I think, to be able to have moved up to that kind of level. So that's probably my proudest achievement, I think, since we've been here. And I think the growth journey we've been on as well. So when I joined in January 21, whatever it was, we've 4x'd the loan book to where we are now. We've doubled the number of staff we had. We had 30 when I first started. We've now got 60 plus.
Yeah.
So being able to be part of that growth journey, I think, alongside getting promoted to finance director, have been probably the two biggest achievements.
Brilliant. Now, outside of work, what goes on for you?
Children, more than anything. So I've got 2 kids. One's 8, one's 5. So basically most of my time is made up chasing them around with all the various activities that they've got at their age, and it's trying to find time to do your things as well. So I would like to do more fitness, etc., but just finding the time can be quite tricky at times.
Good. So I guess we've talked about Roma, and obviously outside of work, it is that fine balance. I know our children are the similar age, so the days of you having time for yourself are gone. Yeah. I think it comes back, but we'll probably be too old to enjoy it.
Well, we'll see.
So what's next for Roma? What do you see?
For Roma, I think more of the same, really. We've been on an exciting journey, and we've, all the ideas and things we've implemented have worked so far. We've managed to get, I've talked about 4x in the business to where we've got to. And I think it's just, even before I joined, there was a very clear vision as to what we want, what the stakeholders in the business wanted in terms of the size of the business. And I think we've come a long way to achieving that, but there's still a long way to go with it over the next 2 years, 3 years.
Good. And just thinking about our children for a moment, if your son or daughter came to you and said that they wanted to follow your path to be an accountant, do you think that's a good career for a child?
I think so, yeah, because I think it opens up other opportunities. I think when people speak about an accountant, it's not a traditional, you're just working in it just opens more opportunities. If you want to go into corporate finance, if you look at a lot of the directors of the big companies, a lot of them have got an accountancy background. I think it opens a lot of doors and opportunities to people.
It's numbers what drive business, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Every business is driven by the numbers and the data.
Yeah, good. Matt, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks very much for everyone for watching. Thank you.